All right, Dano's Nanos. Rico's Nano Challenge 2018. December. Final month. So 12 months ago had a wet tank and I was waiting for the cycle and waiting to put live coral in, and on January 1st I put my first corals in, and she's still up and running. I can start the video off with something that nobody wants to hear, and that is when the challenge is over, I will be shutting down this tank. You may find this similar sentiment on some of the other challengers too. I don't know many that are going to keep going. Some will be upgrading, which is a great idea. I'll be moving a lot of these corals into my 55-gallon, as I do love the corals, but again, the system, the 14-gallon, 9 gallons of water or pico, is exactly what it is. It's a challenge. Now, for keeping the clownfish and the goby, the yellow watchman goby, and the masked goby that have made it this far, this tank would be perfect. Fish system, no problem. Green star polyps, leathers, great. But stony corals, even the LPS corals, actually some of the LPSs are pretty easy, but you'd better go pretty easy on a tank like this. And even so, it just comes with its challenges. And my main challenge during this entire time has been phosphates. I've still got algae growing on the rock, where in my 55-gallon, algae disappeared months and months and months ago. That tank's been up for a little over a year now, so actually like a year and a half. So things swing. It's just a harder system to keep. There's less room for equipment. There's less room for redundancy. But that being said, success was had. I've got a lot of corals in there that are growing and expanding, a lot of beautiful corals. One of the first corals I put in there was this pagoda cup here, and it was just this tiny little sliver, and it's boom, there it goes, it's all the way out. And when we get a little closer, you'll see it's just got a rim full of polyps. I mean, it's growing. Things are growing. This Daglophovites, which has been in a lot of my pictures, it's hard to see right here. We'll check it out in a second. It grew some and then it stopped growing, and now it's just looks good. But it if it would have grown at that same rate, it would have covered that whole rock. So when we zoom in, you'll see these two are touching now, not killing each other. Another just a great example of growth. I've lost some corals, not a ton, but and the John Deere Leptocyrus over here, that's another one that just keeps going. We'll see that in a second, but not bad. I got the tank used, and for like $100 with the rock and the sand and a few of the components, the $50 Zetlite, couldn't be happier with it. It's actually growing frags in my big tank right now. I mean, it for $50, maybe it was 60 with the control or whatever. That thing, worth every penny. Definitely a value. I ended up putting it on Apex, and that was, part of the reason why I think it survived. The box there, the hang on the back Aquamax filter, I had it on my 30-gallon BioCube before. It's doing great on this. I got plans for a future frag system in the 30-gallon in the future that it's gonna go on. So let's start in the sump, since that's easier, and we'll turn on the light, or I'm sorry, in the stand, and we'll just do a quick review of the equipment. So there's the controller for the Zetlite, and here's the Apex Nano, or Apex Junior. Not bad, a little feature minimum. I've got it hooked into the internet there. I've had some internet interruptions. That's run through the wires to my router. I'd say it's there about 95% of the time. It's not bad. The PM1 module to monitor pH, because I am dosing kalkwasser, and shut that off if it gets too high, and temperature. Just use the 4 outlets. The BRS 1.1 milliliter doser, that doses my kalkwasser. The Tom's Aqua Lifter pump, that's my ATO. So, I mean, as far as simplicity, it's way simpler than my other tank. This is Poles Extra Sponge Power, Coral Vitalizer, and LPS Amino. This is the Zeovit Nano Pack. I think, yeah, that's just amino acids. Again, same thing here. So I used that on my 30-gallon BioCube. Did pretty good. I like it. It kept my corals from getting stunted. It kept their color. I do use Aquaforest on the other tank, and I'll be moving forward with Aquaforest. But this stuff works. You wanna, you know, you have a tank that's, you know, your SPS aren't coloring up right, or you're not getting the colors you want, and you just want to give it a little punch. Get the KZ Nano Pack, and you know, it'll work. Okay. Again, these cheap cereal boxes I got for my ATO here, my kalkwasser here. Here's a replacement for my Innovative Marine Nano reactor that's up there. I end up running just GFO in the bottom and a bag of carbon right there. So, you know, it's all pretty standard stuff, just compact into a small area. With the kalkwasser, I'm mixing 2 tablespoons of kalkwasser, 90 milliliters of vinegar, and that's for 2 gallons. So it's 1 tablespoon, 45 milliliters of vinegar per gallon. That's the strongest you can mix it up. It still has a little powder at the bottom, but then I can just dose it accordingly. Right now, I think I've got it running 2 minutes every, or 30 seconds every 2 minutes. The hang on the back filter has been awesome. It cleans up really easy. Works really good. I've had to clean out a few times. That's, you know, the intake gets clogged a little bit sometimes with algae, and then the intake hose there gets a little calcium deposit. So every couple months I clean that out, but it works good. It pulls out like a light tea color. I can't complain. Okay, this automatic top off here. I got it from Marine Depot. It's a do-it-yourself kit for 50 bucks. It works. No big deal. You know, I was going cheap. Obviously, $10 fan here hooked to the Apex. And then I had the Innovative Marine sitting around, and it's just in there. I just pull it up to check, you know, how it's running, and that's how I get that set. Back to the light, the Zet light. Okay, and then I did add, about halfway through, I added the Core Life T5s, 2 actinic bulbs, to just give it, you know, some more light. I did have that sitting around. Jaeger heater. Here's my line for the ATO and the kalkwasser, probes, and then this is a backup bubbler. It's got the double D batteries in it. You plug it into the wall. If the power goes out, it comes on. It did go off a couple times this year when, you know, the Christmas lights or whatever got rained on, and it shorted out the circuit in this room because you know, I got my cord running in the room. But it saved the tank a couple times. So, you know, redundancy. But that's the equipment. Let's see if I can get your coral update here. Okay, so the corals are really hard to see on the video. A lot of times I would use my camera and change the settings, you know, to do it. But this is just the automatic setting. Actually, maybe if I get some more white light here. That'll work. Yeah, okay. So I've got some mushrooms. There's the Leptocyrus growth coming off the side. Colt coral. my Instagram, I'm able to get some great videos. So there's my pictures. There's the growth of the green star polyps. I'd say they grew about 10%. They didn't really grow. They just kind of survived on the back. Again, hard to keep things stable, hard to get them to grow. Glad everything's alive. One of the coolest things, these interstellar mushrooms, I did have them reproduce in here. There's a little baby. So at $100 a pop, that's not terrible. Acans, the Zoa garden, you know, did do a nice job. And you know, you can see the Fabia garden there. That Fascination Fabia in the front, that's grown quite a bit. The green one on top split the eyes. That neon green Nepthia in the back, leather. I put both leathers in like a few months ago, and they never really grew. So it's kind of the same thing. Things stayed alive well. Some things grew, like I said, that cup, you know. This Cyphastria was, you know, I was one of the first ones in there. So I got like an inch of growth off the plug. But most of it was just keeping it alive. There's some Montipora, that green right in the middle. It grew for a little while and it stopped. And then this mushroom rock is pretty cool. I put 8 mushrooms on there. I haven't counted them lately, but they're looking healthy. I mean, looks like there might be more than 8. Bower Binky right there. So, yeah, if I saw a new reefer and they said they wanted to get a 10-gallon or a 15-gallon tank and grow all the corals and I want with them, I'd tell them don't do it. The recommendations were 30 gallons and up, and that's the one I started with when I started a few years ago, and it worked. So these little ones make great fish tanks, great soft coral tanks. I don't think you have a problem with it. Again, you might not get a lot of growth. If you had a more powerful light, that'd be one thing, but then you may have to dose a little more. I got away with Kalkwasser, and I think I could for a long time. So, but happy to be part of the challenge. Happy that I made it the whole way. Happy to see everybody else. And I know TC Reefer said he's still going to give out a belt. So congratulations to whoever gets that. And these corals are going to get a bigger, happier, healthier home. And then I'm going to go sell this tank at my local LFS on the poster board, so somebody can enjoy it and put some fish in it and have a good time. So, all right, well, it was a good time, and I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot. You know, if you can do this in this small of a tank, then it means you can pay attention. It means you test your water. It means you change your water. It means you watch your corals. It means you have a good working theory of, you know, what keeps them alive and what kills them. And so moving forward, that just makes the whole hobby easier. Still got a lot to learn, but this has been a good experience. So, all right, y'all have enjoyed it, and I enjoy watching everybody else's finishing up videos. Peace.